Alrighty, so I've been asked a lot of questions from friends, acquaintances, family members about my medical condition, and so I thought it'd be a good idea to make this video and just put everything out on the table so there's no confusion, and hopefully spread awareness and maybe even help someone with my condition if they ever come across this video. So last year in either December or January, I don't remember, so that was 2014 to 2015, I was diagnosed with P.O.T.S, which stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And if I were to describe this to anyone on the street, I would say that it causes really low blood pressure and very high heart rate. And if you want to go into details, it's autonomic dysfunction called dysautonomia, and pretty much your autonomic system controls your blood pressure, your temperature, your heart rate, all of that stuff, and it's out of your control. You can't tell your body to raise your blood pressure. It just doesn't work that way. So it's all the stuff that happens without us even thinking about it. And mine is all messed up, if you want to say it. It doesn't cooperate. It does not work the way it's supposed to. You have a parasympathetic system and a sympathetic system, and they're supposed to work together, and mine do not. Mine work against each other, actually. So, like when your blood pressure is supposed to be rising, mine is lowering. And when your heart rate's supposed to be rising or lowering, it does the opposite. So this causes a lot of problems for me. I believe that I've had P.O.T.S since probably 6th grade. I would faint every year until about freshman year. Then freshman year, I started to faint more often. And all my doctors would just tell me that it was normal for girls to be fainting because your body's changing and it's probably hormonal and I'd probably grow out of it and I didn't need to worry about it. So I felt kind of crazy. I felt like nobody was listening to me. I felt like there was something very wrong with me, and it made me feel crazy. So that didn't feel good, and no one at the school believed me. Everyone thought I was faking it. Everyone thought that I looked normal, so I was normal, and that's not necessarily true. People with P.O.T.S don't always look sick. You can look completely normal. So it's a really confusing syndrome to have, in my opinion. I started having really bad complications my sophomore year. I started fainting almost every single day. I went through loads of different tests. I went to a cardiologist. I got a ZO patch on. Everything came out normal. The ZO patch is pretty much just like an EKG for about a month, or whenever, for however long you want to keep it on. That came out normal. The only thing that they saw was really increased heart rate, which is part of my syndrome, but they didn't think anything about it. Another thing I went through was EEG, which is pretty much testing for epilepsy, and that came out normal. So once all of those were normal, they really didn't know what to do with me. They didn't understand what was going on. They thought that I could be possibly making things up, and so I just felt completely crazy. I felt crazy, and no one was listening to me, and it really hurt. It was a hard thing to go through. Then I was sent to Missoula, Montana to see a pediatric cardiologist, and his name is Dr. Hardy. He's my all-time favorite doctor, and he was the one that diagnosed me with P.O.T.S. He did this by taking my blood pressure and heart rate from lying to sitting to standing, and my heart rate from lying was about 50 beats different from standing. It increased about 50 beats, which is a lot. Normal people do not do that. They normally have a normal heart rate from sitting to standing, about like 10 beats increase, maybe even less. So that was a big difference, and my blood pressure dropped significantly. It was so low. And so I was finally diagnosed with POTS. They put me on a med that kept my heart rate down, but while doing so, the med also lowered my blood pressure, and my blood pressure is actually my main factor in my POTS, and so it was causing a lot more problems. I was fainting every day, like 3 times a day. I was becoming very ill. I was so nauseous I couldn't even get out of bed. My feet would swell up from all the blood that was pooling in my limbs, and it hurt to walk. I felt like I was 400 pounds. It was just awful time in my life. I felt so sick all the time. I was no longer attending school. I was on something called homebound, which means the school gives me all my homework and I just have to do it on my own time, which was a huge blessing, but also really sad that I didn't get to see my friends and be in school. When I started passing out very frequently, about 3 times a day, they decided to send me to the Mayo Clinic, which was a huge blessing. I went in March, and they pretty much confirmed my diagnosis with POTS. They put me on a tilt table test, which is kind of what Dr. Hardy did with the lying, sitting, standing, except for the table that tilts like this and you're strapped in, and they take your heart rate and blood pressure. And they found that I was one of the most severe symptoms that they had ever seen in their entire life, and they were really wowed by it. My blood pressure dropped so low that they could not even read it, and my heart rate went from a normal 60 beats to about 175, and they were really shocked. So they put me on some meds. I'm on Midodrine. I take 1.5 of these 3 times a day. I was put on an antidepressant to help with the serotonin levels in my brain, which also affects POTS. Also with depression, with chronic illnesses comes depression, so it was like a double duty med. I was put on Zoloft, but I felt like a robot in it, so I switched to duloxetine. I take this once every day. And then salt tablets. Salt is so important for people with POTS. It really raises your blood pressure volume. And I take 2 of these 3 times a day. Mayo Clinic taught me that you need to be exercising 7 days a week for at least a half an hour, and be drinking at least 3 liters of water. So I drink about 4.5 of these every day. Mayo Clinic really saved my life. I think they did a great job of really helping me control my symptoms. When I got back from the Mayo Clinic, I was really motivated to get healthy. So I was running about 4 miles every day, and then in the afternoon I would weightlift. So I became very healthy. I was drinking all of my water, taking all of my meds. I was really motivated to get healthy, and nothing seemed to be working. I was still fainting. The longest I've ever gone without fainting was about 2.5 weeks, and that's a long time for me. I still faint at least once a week to this day. So I'm still sick. I'm still living with this, and it's really a hard thing to live with. It's harder than some people might think. I've been struggling for a long time. I've been depressed. I've been just really down in the dumps because I feel like no matter what I do, I'm never gonna get healthy again. And I'm nauseous almost every single day, actually every single day. Sometimes 75% of my day, sometimes half of my day, sometimes only a little bit of my day, but every single day I'm sick and I'm fatigued and I'm really tired, and I just, it's a really hard thing to live with, and I really hope that this video will help people understand that and maybe be kinder with their words, because I know that I've been accused of faking it because I look normal, and just all sorts of things that I shouldn't have to go through for someone who is actually very sick. Because I am still fainting so frequently and I am still very sick, my cardiologist wants to send me either back to Mayo Clinic to focus more on my blood pressure, because no matter what, it seems to be dropping no matter what I do, or to the Seattle Children's Hospital. So that's where I'm at right now. To help me out, and to help my doctors out, this has been a lifesaver. I made a journal entry, and I record when I take my meds, when I finish my water bottles, when I exercise, and just like little things around the house that don't make me feel like a slob, because I'm no longer in school. I'm actually getting my GED, which is a really big blessing at this point, because there's not much I can do. I can't really be in school and be this sick and fainting all the time. Another thing is, whenever I faint, I don't have any warning. That is why my P.O.T.S is so dangerous. Doctor told me that I've had as many concussions as an NFL football player. And if that's not telling you something, then I don't know what will. I've fainted since last October, so about a complete year, about 150 times. So lots of concussions. My parents are afraid to send me anywhere. I have to wear a helmet most of the time when I'm leaving the house, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a little embarrassing. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do. My parents have been lifesavers through this entire process. They have really advocated for me. They know what to say to the doctors always. They know what to say to my family members. Their family's everything. Yep. And my boyfriend has been another blessing in my life. He knows exactly what to say always, and I would just suggest for anyone with P.O.T.S to really keep people in your life and keep people who will understand and listen to you. Really hope this video will help someone out, and hopefully you made it through the entire video. It's kind of long, and thanks for watching.